Out-develop everyone. I could break down my success probably to like 3 things. Massive goals, reverse engineer the activity to hit the goal. Out-develop everyone. Invest everything you have into self-development.
All right, everyone. Welcome to our monthly episode of the Fireside Chat for August. And I am thrilled to welcome Mr. Brandon Bornancin to the Fireside Chat room. And for those of you who don't know Brandon, he is the currently the CEO and founder of Seamless.ai, which delivers the world's best sales leads with the first search engine created for business professionals to find accurate phone numbers, emails, and intel for anyone they need to sell to. Think of Google and LinkedIn if they had a baby. I like that. Brandon is a really, powerful force in the software tech space, and he bootstrapped not single-handedly with a great team, but they pretty much bootstrapped Seamless to a company that in under 10 years has sold over $175 million in revenue. They have 15,000 customers and over 300 employees. So the reason I wanted Brandon to come on is because his background is like all of ours. He started in sales, and before he started Seamless, he sold for IBM. He sold for one of Google's top partners, generated over 100 million in sales as an individual contributor. He's a 2-time 7-figure entrepreneur, an expert sales speaker, an author, a trainer, and he's obsessed with helping sellers maximize their success. And we are thrilled to have you. So welcome, Brandon. Great to be here.
Hey, thanks so much, man. Honored to be here and excited to just share whatever I can to help everyone make more money, close more sales, scale.
Me too. And these are your people. And I think it'll be a fun discussion. So I wanted to start off just by giving everyone a little bit of background on yourself. And specifically, I understand you came from a sales family, that your dad was a seller for CA and, told you not to do sales. And I'd love to kind of hear more about your childhood and maybe why you decided to get into sales against his advice.
I'll make it super quick, super high level. So I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. My mom, no college degree. My dad, no college degree. My mom worked at a grocery store and a bank. My dad worked in construction and at Macy's Co. selling electronics at Macy's company, which is Macy's. It used to be called Maaco. My dad was selling like the first Macs at Macy's, and a sales enterprise VP was going through the mall, got a demo from him on the weekend because my dad did construction during the week and then these electronic sales on the weekend at the mall because there wasn't any construction during the week. Gave a demo to one of the sales reps, the sales VPs. He loved it. He pitched my dad to ditch Macy's and join this software company called Computer Associates, CA Technologies. My dad had no college degree, so it was really hard for him to get into the program because back then there wasn't a lot of tech software companies. This is like the beginning. You had Microsoft for B2C, and then like CA Technologies was one of the first B2B. And he luckily had this VP that vouched for him, got into it. And then they're based out of Islandia, New York. So my dad for the next decade was gone Sunday through Friday for 10 years of my life, my childhood. And he was always stressed out of his mind. Like, I think he didn't, I don't know if it was the education or what, but he didn't have the knowledge or wherewithal to create scalable, predictable revenue results. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't wake up every day stressed, not able to sleep, freaked out every day about hitting my number because I know the funnel, the data, the strategies, the plays, and we'll get into a lot of this. But his whole career at CA, he went from making $38,000 starting gig to, almost $1 million. And that was the first tech company. He says like 600K. It was really like 500, 600K. It was the first tech company B2B to go public. So he got to ride that wave, then led mergers and acquisitions. And then into my college. So I went from grade school poor, high school doing okay, middle class, early college. My dad's like making a shitload of money and I'm not stressed about anything, which was awesome. So that was my like childhood growing up, And I got to see sales transform my family's life, but it's different because my dad, I don't know if it's right to say that he hated sales. I think he hated having an unproven strategy. He won President's Club, 18 times. Like he always hit his number and he always hit the number. And then he managed hundreds of sales reps. But I never remember him not being stressed about his job.
Mhm.
And that's what caused me, like, growing up, getting into college, being like, oh, like, screw that. I don't want to become an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, a salesperson, you name it. I want to like start my own business. And that was like the origin story to like learning about the career of sales.
Mm. But you sold since you were young, right? Didn't you kind of start?
Yeah. I mean, look, I got introduced into sales and entrepreneurship. I was always selling as a kid, but really when I was a freshman in college, I was in James Hall, Ohio University. I picked Ohio University because it literally was the number one party school in the nation. I visited once and I was
Ohio
like,
University? I thought like Florida State or UC Santa Barbara.
well, literally it would compete with like those schools. In just 2004, it was number one. 2005 was number one. And 2003 it was number one. And then I picked it. I was from Ohio. It was easy. It was like an easy decision. And I right when I got there, my first month, we're all playing poker, online poker, right? And you're not supposed to be playing until you're 21. Oops, I'm sorry, whatever. But we're playing all this online poker, and I've got a guy named Brooks who says, "Hey guys, I've got a buddy in San Diego who's making more money referring people to join these poker sites than playing poker." He's like, he made $3,000 last week, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then he's like, I'm setting up a meeting in my dorm room, and like on Friday, let's all meet. And this guy from San Diego is going to tell us how he did it. So then went to his dorm room. He taught us like selling like people to join Poker Stars, Full Tilt Poker, Party Poker, you name it. And they're like, hey, it costs $50 to sign up, but Party Poker, Full Tilt Poker, Poker Stars will pay you $100 to $150 a person that signs up. And I'm like, okay, let me do the math here. Someone can sign up with $50. I make $100 to $150. I could take $100 and turn it into $250. Like I was just doing the math. I was like, this is really stupid easy. And there were like 8 people in Brooks's dorm room. I just started going door to door to door to door in the dorm room, James Hall, then took it West Green, East Green, South Green. If anyone's from Ohio University, you know what I'm talking about. And scaled this poker sales business. I would call it affiliate marketing and sales, from $0 to $12 million in sales. It was definitely the most successful in college. And then
you did $12 million in signups or $12 million in revenue that people gambled away within the people you
$12 million in revenue for commission. Yeah. And I got paid 2 ways. They called it a CPA, cost per acquisition. So if I gave, Jared $50, they'd pay me $150. And then like, once you hit these different tiers, the CPA goes up. Hey, I'll pay you $225. I'll pay you $300. I'll pay you $500 once you get to 100 signups, 500 signups, you name it. So it keeps increasing. And then they'd have monthly bonuses. Like this month, if you get 10 signups, we'll give you $1,000. This month, we'll give you $5,000. So I just kept playing that game. And then I came out with a website. So stupid. Free50now.com. So like you could go back through the Wayback Time Machine and see this, free50now.com. I took it from like going dorm room to dorm room online. And then I went into all the poker rooms, the poker forums, the poker chat rooms, free50now.com, free50now.com. I marketed and told everyone I knew to join this thing. And it scaled to $12 million in sales. And that was amazing until 2007, President Bush passes the U.S. Safe Port Act, making it illegal to gamble online. So like World Series of Poker comes to the U.S. I learn about this sales thing. I get into it and I ride the wave as hard as possible for 3.5 years. Boom. The end of my junior year, beginning of my senior year, they make it illegal to gamble online. And then I don't lose anything. It's just like, there's no more money. Like I could go international, but I don't know any of that shit. I'm 20, 21. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to start another company. I was like, flip phones, text message marketing is going to change the world. And I launched a B2B. This is my first B2B company. The poker was B2C. The B2B company was in mobile, text message marketing, flip phones. I remember getting a text from Facebook. This was right when Facebook came out. Like, you've got a friend request. You got a friend request because they were flip phones. And I was like, text message marketing is going to change the world. I invest like a few million that I had left in savings into launching this B2B mobile marketing company called Immobile. The next 4 years, I lose everything I made, go completely bankrupt, and am out of my ass with nothing. I don't know what to do. I'm screwed. And here's the reason. I didn't know, like, you're a senior and then a graduate in college. I didn't know B2B sales. I didn't have the list of the people that I needed to sell to, the B2B leads I needed to sell to. And I didn't know anything about predictable, repeatable, scalable sales systems, processes, strategies, whatever. So then I'm like, oh, I'm never doing another business. I'm never doing sales. And I interview for a marketing job because my partner at Immobile, Jake Phillips, who's now my head of product at Seamless.ai today, he goes to IBM Interactive. He's like, hey, you should join IBM Interactive. They've got this huge digital agency in Columbus. And I interviewed for a marketing job. I'm like, I'm not fucking going into sales. My dad hated sales. I don't want to do anything because like my business failed because of sales. And I'm interviewing at IBM and they're like, you sound too much like a sales guy. They're like, you're not getting the marketing job. Like, you don't get the marketing job. You don't have good marketing experience, but we have a sales business development manager opportunity for you at IBM Interactive. I'm like, fuck, dude, sales, really? Sales?
You say you're born into it. You really were born into it. The family.
Yeah, like born into it. I saw the success. I saw the President's Club events. Like, I loved it, but then I was scared of it because of my dad and all his stress. So then I'm like, I have no job. I'm broke. All right, boom, let's do this. Let's do this sales gig at IBM. And then from there, like, it was all high ticket enterprise sales, selling $100 to $10 million deals, really $500,000 to $10 million deals for IBM Interactive to redesign your website or to do, we did all of the global social media marketing for Victoria's Secrets, Xbox, Express. There's a lot of Lex Wexner companies in Columbus. And then we did a lot of tech because I supported the San Francisco office, working with Google, working with Spec products, all these different companies, Xbox, Microsoft. So I got to do enterprise B2B prospecting, and that was like appointment setting. And then I got to pitch them and close these deals and do the proposals. And we did about 50 million in sales there over the course of 3.5 years. And then Google search agency, one of Google's top 10 search agencies, was like, hey, you should sell for us. They're like, it's very simple. You click an ad, you make a sale. The ROI is 3 to 1, 5 to 1, 10 to 1, you name it. I was like, that's a no brainer. Did that deal and generated $100 million in sales very fast with Google ads. Cause selling websites is very hard to tell someone what the ROI is. Like, you're going to drop $7 million on a new Kohler. Like, I sold Kohler faucets, global website redesign. And like, I remember Kohler in Wisconsin, like literally the father and son, they own the Kohler freaking faucets and toilets. They're like, what's the ROI of this $7 million? And I'm like 23. Like, I don't even know how to spell return on investment at the time. And I just like looked at him and I didn't know what to say. And like, thank God my chief revenue officer was there. John Cadlick comes in and like saves the day, gives like the spiel, because I'm just like, shit, I'm at Kohler. There's 30 executives here. I can't even afford to buy, like, I can't even buy a faucet from you for 10 years from now, you name it. But that was like an awesome way to learn enterprise sales, you name it. And then while I was selling for Google, we were given the Zoom Info database. And at the time, like, this is 2013, 14, 15, I'm selling to VPs of digital marketing, chief marketing officers. There's no marketing teams. There's no marketing departments. There's no marketing teams in Zoom Info. And I'm like, dude, we need to build a search engine like Google, and we need to use AI like IBM Watson to find everyone's contact info and research it in real time. And I created a prototype because for the past 7 years, I was around engineers at IBM and Google. That's all they did was build these complicated applications. And I did that to automate all my list building, prospecting, and appointment setting. And then I became a millionaire selling for the Google search agency. And then my peers at my company tried to buy the software from me, and I wouldn't sell it to them. And then I'm like, you know what? I'll sell it to you. And then my company, the Fathom search agency, bought it from me. And then like I started selling it to sales teams like in beta while I'm working my full-time gig, like at night and weekends, whatever. And then just started to like really take off. And I'm like, dude, I gotta get out of it. Like I gotta go all in on Seamless and help salespeople globally
So did
find
you
everyone
build
that
it
didn't
to
use sell
help
to.
yourself sell more?
Yeah, I built it to
Like,
automate it myself because like I remember at IBM, we were struggling to build pipeline. And like at first, I audited all the time that I was spending. And I'm like, dude, 50 to 70% of my time is like building lead lists, finding emails, finding phone numbers. It's a little easier now with tools like Seamless and others. But back then, there was like nothing. So like this was a very it's still manual, but this was a very manual process that took 4, 5, 6 hours to build your TAM, build the buying committees, influencers, users, decision makers, key players at all the accounts that you need to sell to. IBM and Google, they'd say like, here, go sell to these 100 accounts, go sell to these 500 accounts. I'd be like, okay, there's 10 executives at each account or 30, like could be from anywhere from 5 to 30 to 50.
yeah.
I have to build lists of every title, top down, bottom up, in between, horizontal across every department. I need to automate that shit. So at first, like I built an overseas team to automate it. Then I built a software to automate it. Built the overseas team while I was trying to build the software. Then built the software. It took 3 years to build. And then it just like, boom, it skyrocketed. And, now, we've done over almost $175 million in sales in 5 years of launch, 15,000 customers, over 1,000 employees. And like that was
I was wondering
$0,
that because I
no
saw
product.
you started in 2015, but that was really when you were already working
Dude,
somewhere else
it
trying
took
the product. But really,
yeah, it took 3 years
the
to
launch
build.
was only 5 years ago. That's incredible.
I think it's because I'm like a salesperson. I'm a salesperson that's tech driven, and I should have started with like tech partners from the beginning, but I did it like all on my own, bootstrapped as a solopreneur, and then couldn't find the. It was very hard to find the engineers. Like when you think about building Google, or you think about building LinkedIn, or you think about finding everyone's emails and phone numbers and researching it in real time, that is some complex shit. You're talking tons of recommendation engines, aggregating the world's contacts and companies, researching, validating, and verifying emails, cell phones, 10-step algorithms. Like very few people know how to build that and create that. So I kept hiring these engineers that would think that we would build Facebook or Twitter in 6 months and become billionaires. And every year they would quit. Like we'd be a year into it, they would quit. Year into it, they would quit. Year into it, they would quit. So it was like the worst 3 years of my life trying to build Seamless. Cause I'm like, dude, if Google can be built, this can be built. Like I know how to do it. Here's the logic. Here are the wireframes, yada, yada, yada. And then finally I hired the right last engineer with my last 100K. He fucking nailed it. Now he's my chief architect. We launched the MVP in 3 months. And it was 0 to 1, 1 to 5, 5 to 50, boom, 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 500%, 300%, just crazy growth.
So I want to dive in a little bit in terms of some of your character traits. You mentioned a lot that I mentally noted, but first you mentioned, losing the business in college because of a law that was out of your control, then losing all of being a multimillionaire in your 20s alone, but putting it all into the marketing, the social marketing, text marketing business, and losing all of it, then going into sales, right? And then again, seeing this opportunity, it's very clear to me you think like somebody who's all in and who's like almost like ready, fire, aim, like you're going. I'm curious if because that's the quality that has made you successful, is your resilience, your ability to bounce back from these things, to keep going, the belief. I'd love to just dive into some of these character traits that
like habits.
Just the way you think in terms of like okay, let's use one example. You get knocked down from losing all your money, putting it into this this business, and now you have to go into sales. Like how quick did that happen? How are you feeling after like failing as an entrepreneur?
So the poker thing like didn't mess me up. That was just like I'm rich. The business is over. Shit. I got to find something next. And like, I got lucky loving poker, playing poker, and then being able to sell poker. It's almost like Seamless. Because when I started Seamless, I loved sales. I mastered sales. I had a lot of success with sales. And now I get to build a product and sell to the people that I love. And it's like, fuck yeah. So that was awesome with the poker deal. The InMobile deal was devastating. I mean, I remember like when I had to shut it down, like you're just working 24/7, 365 for 4 years. You're barely making any money. You've got an office space. I had 30 to 50 people working for us. Me and Jake did. And like, we were always bleeding. We could never generate enough revenue to be successful. At that time, it was 2007 to 2009. So like my family actually like lost everything at the same time period. So they went from like rich to broke to wealthy again because of sales. Because my dad invested a ton of his money into all this property and stuff. 2007, 2009, the bank collapsed. So all the properties are overvalued. My family goes bankrupt. I've got this company that just failed in 2007, about to be 2008. So the economy's trash. There's no jobs for college kids. So it was just this really bad, shitty time to be starting a company, ending a company. It was terrible. So I was like fucked up for 6 months. I mean, like, so my family moved to Seattle from Ohio. I moved in with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, Danielle, and who's now my COO. So I moved in with her because my family's on the West Coast. I'm like, I'm not going to Seattle. It rains there every freaking day. I don't want to wake up and rain and get a headache because I always get a headache from the rain. So I moved in with her, slept in her parents' basement on a fucking air mattress. And like, okay, I got to build a portfolio and go find a job. And that's when I didn't want to get into sales, started applying to all these marketing jobs. The marketing people told me to get into sales, but the habits, I think that I learned, I'm going to go to the habits now versus in the past. One of the things that I always did was whatever the goal is, like I believe that goal that was given to me from my manager or my chief revenue officer, my VP, was what they think my potential is. And for whatever reason, I just always thought that was bullshit. Like, why am I going to let you, like, you don't even know me. You hired me. I'm one of many people who work for you and sell for you. I'm a number, and hopefully you value me as a number. But like, why should I let you tell me what my potential is? And for whatever reason that bothered me. And I was like, whatever my quota is, I'm going to 3 to 5x the quota and do the activity to hit the 3 to 5x quota. And I just did that for IBM Interactive. I did that selling for Google. And then I did that, you know, like with my, like when I fundraised, they're like, hey, do 100K. I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to do a million. They're like, do 1 million. I'm going to do 10, do 10. I'm going to do 100. So I just always believed in setting massive goals, 3 to 5x your quota, and then put in the work to put in the activity, right? How many leads do I need to generate? Calls, emails, social touches, meetings booked, meetings held, close won deals. And I would do that just no matter what. No excuses, no victim, assume 100% responsibility. I've got 2 books, like you had mentioned, whatever it takes. I've got a whole book on whatever it takes. And it's just like the habits in just going all in. And then I've got a book called All In, because I believe like for you, if you want to achieve massive success, you got to go all in. And you just do that. If you do that with setting the activity goals and the quota, you crush it.
You're kind of reinforcing everything I believe, because I keep saying winners find a way to win, right? And ironically with poker, right? Maybe it's a gamble, but you bounce back, and you bet on the person, right? You bet on, you know, their resilience, and you can put you in a sales role anywhere and you're going to find a way to sell, or in a business and you'll find a way to bounce up because of the way that you think in terms of setting these goals, in terms of focusing on the process and not the prize, which we call process thinking. And it's inevitable. It's not a matter of if, but when. And
When,
kind
yeah.
of being patient through the process and knowing like, hey, what I'm doing is going to pay off. There's no other way. We just crossed 5 million yesterday in revenue in 2 years.
Congrats. That's amazing. I love that.
And Isaac called me. He's like, Ian, you just crossed 5 million. And there was no reaction. And then Brooke called me, my developer, and she's like, you got 5 million. I'm like, yeah, of course we got 5 million. It's not chasing the number. The number is going to come from the things you're doing. And I think you're really hitting that. on the head. So is that really the case? Like you don't stress about things coming. You're just, okay, what do we need to do? You're not even thinking about the end result because you're
I
on the
think
one
you
hand,
like,
it's the goal you're setting, but on the other hand, it's the things that are way more important that you're doing every day that ultimately is going to lead.
yeah, I think it's the inputs that lead to the outputs, right? Like for me, I know every AE plus two SDRs, okay, that's going to cost me like 300 to 400K. I'll make 800 to 1.2 million. Okay, boom. If I'm going to do 100 million, okay, there may be some churn. I'm going to need 110 AEs. I'm going to need 220 SDRs. I'm going to need a shitload of appointments. I'm going to need deals. I need to go up market so that I don't need to work that as hard as that, right? Like going up market, we'll be able to do it with less people. So like, if you know the activity, the metrics, like that for sure is it. And then there's a shitload of other ones, right? Like, and I could name these off very efficiently for everyone.
Please.
Out develop everyone. Like I could break down my success probably to like three things: massive goals, reverse engineer the activity to hit the goal. Out develop everyone. Invest everything you have into self-development. Like
Now you're speaking my language. Everyone here is paid at least $9,000 to be part of this program, if not more, right? So
yeah, and I would just see like, my friends
out of pocket mostly.
would be bankers, and they'd be like putting money in the stock market and getting a 7% return. And I'm like, that's so stupid. Like I could invest 10K into Ian's program and then make 50, 100, 250K. And then what happens if I take that and then I go invest it? So like I've invested everything into self-development up until 21 to 22.
What did that look like for you? And how'd you get into that originally? Like,
And when I say 21, 22, that's the year, right? So from 18 to 35, every dollar I made went into self-development. Like no cars, no houses, no clothes. I don't give a shit. Self-develop, become the best I can be, and then believe in the compounding interest that me working hard on developing sales, prospecting, pitching, closing, objection handling, follow-up, and then marketing, advertising, all this stuff, product engineering, like that will pay off big.
So what did you do for self-development? What were some of the things you worked
Everything. Like when you're broke, you start at books. And books are amazing. Like I wrote a shitload of books. Like I literally write like every step by step of all the secrets. I put in the book and I go sell it for $20. Like it's kind of bullshit because you're giving away so much knowledge and expertise in the books. Like I'm writing a Scale Your Sales book right now. My sixth book will be a sixth bestseller, like all these other books. And I lay out like something that I could charge 10, 25, 50 grand in a course or a mastermind.
Sure.
And I'm selling it for $20. So I learned like very early with studying Napoleon Hill and start studying Dale Carnegie and just Rockefeller and these habits of like these guys like train and they study, and Benjamin Franklin, they read and they study. So right away, I was like, when I joined IBM Interactive, I knew I lost my ass and everything I owned because I didn't know B2B sales. I was like, I am not going to end up broke as shit, sleeping on my girlfriend's basement, blow up mattress again. So I would go into Kinko's and FedEx and Barnes and Noble, if you guys remember, if those bookstores exist. And I would just buy, like I'd have $100, I'd buy $5. Okay, make a little bit more money, $250, I'd buy, 12 books, because 12 bucks times 20, that's 240, tax, 250. Okay, boom. Then I buy $1,000 worth of books. Like I just kept buying all these books. And then from the books, I started making a shitload of money because I'm out developing. I'm learning everything: sales discovery, pitching, prospecting, tonality, confidence, follow-up, sales objections. I'm not interested. No budget. It's too expensive. Already work with someone. Send me more information. Talk to me later. I'm not the right person. Unsubscribe. It's too expensive. I have no budget. Boom. And I'm learning like, oh my God, if I master this stuff and I've got 100 ways to overcome all these objections, I will never be in sales ever again and not know what to do, what to say. And like when I started to learn that, I felt like I was Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. Prospects would just say shit. And like, I knew exactly what to say to solve their problems, overcome their concerns, get the deal done, and help them maximize their success and maximize their results. There's no value exchange if you believe that you've got an amazing product, the prospect has no value exchange if they don't buy your product and service. Like you have to go all in, all out, whatever it takes. If you believe that your product will change your life forever for the better, which I believe Seamless will do that for anyone. Like when I used to lose sales because I didn't understand sales objections. I always hit, it's too expensive. I didn't know what to say. And then I learned through studying, like, oh my God, it's just like a if this,
So
then
what do
that.
you say when someone says it's too expensive for anything? I'm depending on when in the sales cycle, but curious,
I mean, I've got like 1,000 ways to overcome it. It's too expensive, but like you got a bunch of different ways. Like you could break it down into dollars and cents, where it's like stupid. Like dude, you're telling me like Seamless is like $100 a license. You telling me it's too expensive. There's 30 days in a month. Like that's $3 a day. Like I see you over there in your nice Armani suit. Like that was $1,000. So we're talking $3 a day. You're gonna make 100,000 to 1,000,000 using Seamless. Like cut the shit. Like or it's like, well, compared to what? Like there's so many different ways based on sales discovery, based on the pitch to like figure that out. Like if they're like, well, my funnel is at 10% conversion rate on leads to demos, and I really want to get it up to 20% because we need to really have 20 appointments versus 10 appointments to keep our AEs closing and hitting quota. Like high ticket sales, you're using math, logic, strategy tied to the funnel, tied to discovery. High transaction sales, if you have a product like Seamless that makes you a ton of money, it's easy to break down the money compared to the cost. And like, you're going to make a shitload of money. Like, Seamless has generated 57 billion in revenue, over 25 million appointments, 1.6 billion leads researched by our users. Like I have so much data tied to the ROI.
What I think you're demonstrating, like you don't even blink an eye. Here's what you say. Here's what you say. It's like the practice, and it's not. I know I'm not a. I'll be the first one to say I'm not a fan of tactics. I'm a huge fan of leaning in and figuring out what's really going on and having a real conversation. And that's really what you're doing compared to what, right? Let's look at this. Is this really what does it cost you not to be doing it? Let's do the math. Like, but that's challenging the customer. In any objection, whether it's, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, right?
Yeah. I don't understand the value. I don't see the value, right? Like, yeah, I believe great discovery solves everything. If you do shitty discovery, you won't know current state, gap, future state. And like, I always taught this before Keenan came out with gap selling.
Yeah, it sounds just like gap
and now he freaking gets the credit. But you went through the Sam Ovens deal. Like, we all know current state, where are they at? Where do they want to go? What's the gap? And how does your solution help them go from current to future state? Yeah. Biggest pains, biggest problems to greatest goals, dreams, desires. And if you've done great discovery, a lot about current state, future state, and if you know your product and your solution, how it gets them there, and how the money makes total sense.
Well, three things I want to just emphasize. Number one is leaning into the objection, having a real conversation, not taking it at face value. Number two, I'm seeing belief, right? Which is fundamentally, you got to believe that what you sell is going to make people's lives better. If you believe that,
100%,
everything else kind of solves itself, because your conviction, your passion, your energy is going to shine through. And then the third is unfazed, and unfazed is just experience. The more you do, the more it's like you can just hear.
Yeah, and I wouldn't. The one thing that I didn't learn before I outdeveloped myself significantly was like I would learn from experience, and I'd lose the sale, and then I'd lose the sale, and then I'd lose the sale. I actually recommend do not learn from experience. Like skill and develop and learn off the field. So when you're on the field with the prospect, play by play how to win the game. Like Tom Brady doesn't go and show up to the Super Bowl not knowing all the plays of the defense, not knowing all the plays of the offense, not having a game plan to win the game. Who are the weak players? Who are the strong players? What are the plays that we're going to run offensively to win this game, right? Like, because if you're not prepped in these areas, discovery, pitching, closing, follow-up, sales objections, ROI case, all the things that Ian teaches, you don't want to execute and learn from experience, because you'll lose more sales than you will if you just spent an hour a day reading, taking courses. So like I did all the books, and then once you start making money, started investing in courses. And then after that, started investing in mastermind. I've spent definitely over 7 figures, like multiple 7 figures in self-development, masterminds, coaches, mentors, courses, books.
And I hear this all the time from very, very successful people. You're looking at that as interest on yourself to be able to increase your earning capacity, or
Yeah, it's like if I could put my money in the stock market and it's going to make 7 to 10%, which fucking sucks, or I could invest it in myself. And like salespeople, when you invest in yourself, the return on investment is just like crazy high. It's not a 7 to 10%. Like if you're doing $125,000 in an account executive at whatever software company, right? You learn things that take you over 100% to quota, or over 100% to quota, and then to accelerators at 125, 150%, 225, 300%. Like that return is like a 10 to 1, 15 to 1, 20 to 1, 30 to 1. So I just saw the math of, if I invest my money and my time and my effort, I block everything out, like cut out screwing around, wasting time during the day on the weekends, cut out screwing around, wasting too much time in the evenings. And I'm not saying like study after you're selling all day from 5 to 10 p.m. I'm talking like go for a walk or work out for an hour. Cool. Take an hour to study. Cool. Watch your show or whatever you need to do to disconnect, and then go to bed and wake up early, study in the morning, go to work, study in the evening. Like, you could start small, and then you'll build like working out. You'll build a momentum and like just adaptability to like invest
like
more.
you're like always working in a sense, because you're not and I say in a sense, I know you have fun for sure, but like
Yeah.
when you're working out, that's work, right? When you're listening to podcasts, audiobooks, or getting stuff, that's a form of work. When like what I've noticed is not much TV or not much social media or not much, messing
Yeah.
around.
It's
So is
interesting.
it
Like
like a
I
different
love
way to use your free time to work on yourself? Because
my free time. So like when I probably will spend an hour to 2 hours of free time, like watching Netflix shows, documentaries, reality TV. I love like trashy reality TV for some reason.
me too.
Um, I don't know
They
why.
killed Bachelor in Paradise, which I was very disappointed
Yeah,
about.
like I love yeah, Love Island. I love Love Island. And I'm like, why do I love
Yeah,
this
yeah,
stupid
Jared, let's go,
show?
baby.
Like
My wife
uh
won't
the
watch that.
perfect match, Love Island. I'm like, oh my God. But so I'm not gonna tell you like you need to do the cold plunge and then the workout, and you're not allowed to have any pleasure, because like I don't do that. Like I'll work 5 a.m. till 7 p.m. and then I'll chill 7 to 9 and pass out. Cause I need a disconnect time. Like if I try to go to bed thinking about like, I always go to bed thinking about something, but if I go to bed thinking about like my biggest problems, my biggest challenges that I need to solve right in that moment, I won't be able to sleep, and then it'll screw up your sleep. So I do believe in like disconnecting, relaxing, whatever form of that is. Like I'm into pickleball. I love playing pickleball. I love working out. I love pushing the sled outside, you name it. And then other habits too, like just to not get off course, that changed my life. And I'm sharing it because I hope it changes your life, to the audience listening.
Well, I think this is the stuff that really makes people better. That's why I'm digging in so deep.
Yeah.
Not the
Oh,
skill per se, but how you think, how
always
you
be
live.
prospecting. Like that should be a given, like always be prospecting every day. Enterprise reps, if you've got SDRs dedicated to you, make a ton more money by also doing self prospecting. You can pick a few accounts a day, go after the buying committee, lock it in. Studying sales objections, scripts and rebuttals and plays, like that single-handedly, that was this number one was set 3 to 5x quotas. Number two was sales objections and rebuttals and FAQs and Q&As. If you know those plays, like Tom Brady knows how to go up against any team, like shit, you're going to be unstoppable. So once I realized there's only really 10 to 20 sales objections, and really there's like 10, I just went down a crazy, disgusting, sick rabbit hole of like being obsessed with writing hundreds of scripts for each of these objections. So I now have a database of over 100,000 scripts, tips, courses for like 150 different categories. 30 to 50 different sales objections, like, because I'm obsessed with
That in one of
different
your
scripts,
books, or
different
is
plays.
that on a site? Where can we, for anyone listening, access some of this wisdom?
Yeah, I mean that's all like my private like
It's your,
database,
that's your,
like because I would write all these scripts,
yeah.
like different ways to overcome I'm not interested, like in using different angles and different strategies and plays,
Mhm.
all these things, right? So my recommendation is study sales objections and just become a master at the Q&A and the sales objections and have multiple ways like to overcome it. And also understanding that most sales objections are like bullshit. You know, like there's typically a hidden objection within the objection. You
Mhm.
know, like I need to think about it. Like that's not like if they were sold, they wouldn't need to think about it. Like what is the real objection on why? Like what do you still need to think about? Why do you still need to think about it? What's holding you back? Like you told me you love it. You told me you need it. You told me this is exactly what you need to go from current state to future state. Like where am I missing the mark? What do you still need to think about? Boom. Oh, you know, I need to get budget from my CFO and it's really hard to do that. Cool. Now we know the real objection. Um, Other habits, say no to say no to negativity and toxic people. So right away, I cut out a shitload of my high school and college friends, like immediately. Like once I learned these things from top people that were millionaires and billionaires, I'm like, cool. The three people that always like, you know, when you call someone Ian and you're like, hey, I got this amazing thing that happened to me at work. I just made President's Club. It's incredible. And your friend's like, oh, cool. Yeah, man. Well, I've got this thing going for me. Like I had a lot of those friends. I had a lot of friends that were one-uppers. I had a lot of friends that saw me start to achieve success, gave me shit for working so hard on studying and not going out and being focused. And like people that would even tell my wife, Danielle, like in college, oh, Brandon's not a real entrepreneur. Brandon doesn't know what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. Like these were people that were like my best friends. So I
Yeah.
just realized, okay, boom, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. Family member, oh, Brandon, like you shouldn't quit your sales job to start your company. That's stupid. Boom, you're gone. Like I just believe cut people out who will hold you back. It does not matter who they are. Like if you believe like if you want to achieve ultimate success, 6 to 7 figures, 7 to 8 figures, 8 to 9 figures, like I've done, you have to cut out the people like you're climbing up a mountain, you're sprinting up the mountain, and fucking toxic people and these bad habits and these bad people are pulling you back from that climb to massive success. And every time I would have FOMO from cutting them out, and then I just kept going to the next level. And then you forget about the people
Mhm.
like one, they were holding you back because they weren't at the level that you needed them to be at. They weren't doing what you needed to do. Like you got to be around people that are trying to like boom, 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 boom. And most of my people that I know actually aren't as successful as me, but they don't have negative habits. They don't have negative thoughts and they're always cheering me on.
Mhm.
So like, I'm still trying to crack the code of like Alex Hermosi's like, yeah, all my 5 friends are, they make 500 million and I make 100 million. I'm like, dude, like I've made over 175 million and fuck, all my friends make under a million, but they're great people and they're still striving to like, how
Yeah.
can they get a mil and then 5 mil and 10 mil? So I
Yeah.
don't believe like you need to have super wealthy
No, you don't want to
it,
fuck
to
people.
get people like me in your network and fuck they like billionaires, like they won't even talk to me. They'll just text and they'll text like once every blue moon, every quarter or every year once. Like to get in rooms and around those types of people, they just have no time. They're with their family or they're working on their business.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing. Reading every day, like 5, 10 pages a day, ideally a sales book. Record and analyze your sales calls. You got to review your top recordings.
Mm.
I learned this from, I'm a huge fan of like studying really successful people. And I keep bringing him up. Tom Brady.
Brady.
Tom Brady spends 60 to 70% of his time watching game tape.
Mhm.
And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, fuck. I was like, I spend like an hour watching game tape a month. And then just after that, like once you learn the secret, because like I talk about in sales secrets, like once you learn the secret, just run with it and execute it. Like, oh, okay, I need to study game film. Boom. How do you create the habit to do that every day, 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever. Get the technology so you can do it
It
faster.
comes down to confidence. It comes down to confidence, belief. It comes down to, it doesn't, I say, it doesn't matter if people believe you or not. What's more important is that they believe you believe what you're saying, because that'll affect them and enroll them in believing what you're saying too. So it doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is how you feel about everything you're saying, and that will be contagious, and that energy transfers. I want to open up the group in 2 minutes, but I have two things I want to just end with. Number one is, I am a huge fan. Everybody here, I want them to kill it in sales so they don't have to be in sales anymore. I genuinely believe that everyone's got a life purpose, a mission, and that we all have dreams potentially that we want to explore. And financial constraints often hold people back from going for it, right? And even you and me, we both left when we saw the opportunity in entrepreneurship was so great because we had built that bridge, we created the demand, and we knew that we couldn't ignore it. I would just want to ask, how is the selling skills, by mastering sales, how has that helped you as a CEO in your business? High level, high level.
I mean, it's everything. Like, there's no way I'd have 15,000 customers, 175 million in revenue. I mean, I had zero, no product, created the product, used my product. Like I believe it's all about the list. Like you need the sales leads to succeed. You got to build the list, sell the list. You're just one list away from everything you want in this life. And like using Seamless to prospect and sell, I just built a list of 10 people, prospected them, pitched them, closed 10, 20, 30%. Cool. Build the list of the next 100 people, sell to them. Okay, you closed 10%, 20%, 30% of them, 40% of them. Boom. Now I got, out of 100, I got 30, 40 customers. Okay, now I'm going to build a list of 1,000 people. I'm going to close anywhere from 10 to 40%, depending on your close rate. So like, it was just easy for me to know, okay, build the list. What's my funnel metrics? Sell to the list and keep going. As an entrepreneur, like, I don't believe entrepreneurs can be successful if you do not know how to sell. It is the number one greatest skill in the world to do anything. Like, you want to raise, you got to know how to sell. You want to convince your partner to be with you, you got to sell. You want to, I tell like Danielle, she wants to go get salad. I got to sell my wife on freaking getting Italian food because I don't want to eat a salad. I got to sell her. Like, so everything in life is a sale, and everything you get, is a commission. So if you know how to sell and you know how to create predictable, repeatable, scalable sales results, you can do anything. And that is and was and still is, I believe, like my number one asset in starting Seamless.
I agree too. And I see that with you. I see the personality, I see the grit, I see the drive, I see the data, the hustle, all of it. And I also see someone who knows marketing really well, coming back from the transitioning from door to door to the digital back in college, right? And getting the website. That's your marketing skills. And also the data, like just knowing the numbers and not having a lot of emotion around it, but just figuring out what the plan is, right? And I'll tell this to everyone: the purpose of a goal, a massive goal, is not that you achieve it; it's who it requires you to be in order to get there. So you're setting 3 to 5x. Quota attainment requires you to be a different person, to show up differently, to think differently, to target different kind of people, to sell larger deals, right? That's why I set major goals myself. And I think we have a lot in common in that sense. I want to give everyone the 30-second pitch for Seamless and share the offer that we have for everybody listening and everyone live on the call, because it's a really, really good one and super generous of you. So how does Seamless help AEs here listening, and how can they get started with what we created together?
Yeah. Thanks, guys, first for being here. And even though like everything I've achieved, I feel like I've achieved nothing, and I'm so hungry and coachable. I think that's really key, is to stay humble and stay coachable. The people that I study and I look up to are 1 million X more successful than me. It kind of makes you sometimes feel like shit, but everyone was where we are at, when we were started. Like, so you can do anything. I believe you can do anything. And I'm excited for you to make it happen. In regards to Seamless.ai. So, Seamless.ai, the world's best sales leads. We use AI to find everyone's emails and phone numbers. We research, validate, and verify contact information and over 100 data points. We've researched over 1.3 billion contacts, 121 million company profiles. all this stuff gets researched in real time. It's like using Google. So recommend going to Seamless.ai, signing up for free. And then we've got $500 in credits for everyone. You just use Koniak in the referral code when you sign up, Koniak. It does not matter if it's capitalized or undercapitalized. Get a free account, $500 in credits. I'll be there to help you. My goal is to help make you, with the 500 free credits, make you 10 grand. And then with the 10 grand, you buy a license. And then, hopefully you refer us to a ton of people that can use Seamless. And we want to just see you maximize your sales, connect to opportunity faster than ever before. It's really hard to find your total addressable market. It's really hard to get cell phones for everyone you need to sell to. We make it instant, and excited to help.
I'm a huge fan of the data, and especially if it's good data, because that'll save a ton of time. I used to have to go to Reference USA in the library to get my contact info when
Dun and Bradstreet.
Copiers back in the day, D&B, Hoovers, you name it. So
yeah,
I wish I had that access. Let's open it up to some questions for the group. As always, Brandon's an open book, so let's grab some questions while we have him. Who wants to know? I'm almost looking at James, go ahead, my man. Let's hold your hand up on the button with the emoji. James is going to start first, and then put your hand up so I know who's next. That would be great. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I don't know where the hand is, but
you're there. You're good.
I'm right here. Yeah. So, I have a question, kind of transferring from entrepreneurship, from sales. You did really well, right? Obviously in sales, but most people I've met, and this resonates with me because I started a business before I got into sales, right? How did you figure out kind of the transition to go back into it, and what did that look like for you?
And James, thanks for joining, man. Are you talking about going from entrepreneurship back to sales, or sales back to entrepreneurship?
I guess both. You went from entrepreneurship to sales, and then entrepreneurship.
Well, so here's the deal. I lost everything. So when InMobile failed, I didn't have an option. I tried to get a job doing other shit. People were like, you're too much like a sales guy. Here's a sales job. So I was forced into it. And I didn't like sales because I didn't know how to create scalable, repeatable, predictable sales. And then studying it and learning, and you guys are doing this, I came from starting my own company, so I didn't have a mentor teaching me this shit. So then I just bought all the books and then learned about it, and then the masterminds and stuff. So I went from not wanting to get into sales to learning, oh, there's a repeatable, scalable, predictable way to do this. And then once I started doing that, I started making a lot of income, and then I loved it, right? I saw the opportunity. So I was forced into it. And then I fell in love with it by achieving success. But when I started, I was shitty. I was put on a performance plan. Seamless started because I was at IBM Interactive, and I was put on a performance plan because we weren't hitting our $10 million quota. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to get fired in 30 days. So then I'm like, okay, what's wasting all my time? 50% of my time, 60% of my time is on list building. I'm going to automate that shit. So then I could be pitching and closing deals more than doing this stupid copy and paste, Googling, scouring for emails and phone numbers. So I've been a bad sales rep. And then I was able to automate a bunch of stuff and then skill up by out developing to become a good sales rep. And then I haven't had to look back since, because once you have those skills, you never go back. I hope that answers it. And then take your sales skills and when you're ready, you're going to know when you're ready. You've got an idea, you got a product, you got something you could do. That's when you're do a side hustle. I never recommend quitting without income. The number one thing I did was I was working 2 full-time jobs. I was selling for the Google agency, and then for 5 to 8 hours in the morning and in the evening and at lunch, I'm cranking on deals for Seamless. I'm selling, I'm marketing, I'm prospecting, I'm building. I was working from 5. This was when my wife had the hardest time with me in our relationship, because I was working 2 full-time jobs. I was taking all of her money to build Seamless. But I was doing that side hustle, and she knew the sacrifice I was making, but it was very challenging. But then I started building customers, and I'm like, oh shit, I got 10K, I got 15K, I got 25K, I got 100K. Boom, I'm quitting. I'm going all in. And guess what? The best thing that could happen is what? You have to go get another sales job. My wife and I were like, damn, like we're making $1 million. This sucks that you're going to quit. But like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Okay. You go all in, you try to do it. It doesn't work out. What? You go get another sales job at one of 1 million tech companies, and then you do the same thing that you've been doing. So I think for you, James, overcome your fear, build some success in sales. And then if you want to do an entrepreneur thing again, build some success there in parallel, and then make the full-time jump.
No, thank you. That was really helpful.
I love it.
No problem. And congrats for investing in yourself.
We got 3 people. Pat was next. Pat Kearney, I'm gonna add your pin. There you go, buddy.
Awesome. And yeah, Brandon, thanks for sharing time with us. This is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thanks, man. No, thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
And the pitch for self-development, you must have known it's Ian's renewal season, so good timing with
I didn't even prep him on that. He just
you were texting me time to renew.
Did I go to you? I didn't
No.
prep Brandon on that. I mean,
No. You didn't prep me on that. I mean, in all my books, I talk about how important it is to just invest everything you've got into self-development.
Go for it.
I definitely, when you took that leap, like you're like, hey, I'm making 100K on a month or a year, whatever it was, when you took the leap to go full time into Seamless. What were like the biggest like challenges? Like day one, like I closed the book on IBM and now I'm doing my own thing.
The hardest thing, which I hope none of you have to go through, and I'll give you the secret to not go through it. The number one biggest problem was building the technology. Like building a software isn't complicated. Building a software to find everyone's information in the world is fucking terrible and very difficult. Google, Sergey Brin and his wife, the founder of Google, invested in Seamless. Amazon, Guy Kawasaki invested in Seamless. Dun & Bradstreet invested in Seamless. So when I was meeting with Sergey and his wife, Shannon, at the time, his partner, Sergey tried to sell Google at $1 million because of how hard it was. Then they tried to sell to AOL at $10 million. Like they were going to sell Google for $10 million to AOL. And the $1 million deal, I forget who it was to. They said, fuck you. This is stupid. We're not buying it. $10 million, AOL. They were about to do the deal. AOL says, nope, this isn't worth it. We're out. So like they ate kind of like the same shit that I had to eat. Super hard, super impossible to build the technology. And then, but if you could get through that hell, boom, you're off to the races. My biggest mistake I made was being probably an entrepreneur and a salesperson. I wanted to own 100% of the equity. I was like, I made a shitload of money. I'm a millionaire. I want to own 100% of the equity. So for years, I would just pay engineers. Like, I'm not giving you equity. I'm paying you 100K, 120K, 75K, 150K. You're going to build the product. If you do a good job, I may give you some equity, maybe. So like I fucked up by not giving way more equity at the beginning to bring engineers on. Now I did do that. Like, honestly, at the beginning, I didn't have any money. I did do that. Like the first year I did it, I gave a bunch of equity, but then like companies will pay 150 to 250 an engineer, and I could only pay 75K. So like I kept having to pay engineers 50 to 60% what they were making, and they would go for a year and then quit, go for a year and then quit, go for a year and then quit. So that was the hardest thing. I would recommend, like, if you've got a great idea, go through a pre-seed accelerator. They'll give you 100K, 150K to like work on your idea and business model. If they like it, use that money to hire an engineer, pay them well, give them some good equity. You guys build it out. Make sure that equity is on a 4-year vesting schedule with a 1-year cliff. I did not know this. My wife did. My wife's a super lawyer. So I was about to sign this engineer. Like, I didn't know any of this VC shit. And then I started reading the books, and she was coaching me. Like, if you could sign equity documents where you literally give them like 20%, 30% of your company, day one of them signing, and they could quit the next day and you're out the equity. So the secret there is like, go through a pre-seed accelerator, get 100 to 400K, hire engineers, give them some equity, pay them well, make the equity vest 4 years on a 1-year cliff. You'll see who quits and who stays. And anyone that's shitty, get them out as fast as possible. You keep the equity. There were just a lot of those secrets that I didn't know. I wasted a bunch of years and all my money. And then I did the accelerator, and then I hired the engineers with the right model, and then it skyrocketed.
Awesome. Incredible.
Selling was easy. Like, you guys know how to
Yeah.
sell. Like, the selling part's easy. It's the idea and then the repeatable. And like, for you guys, I would come out with info products. It's the easiest thing to come out with. Like, everyone right now has an info product. You have information that people want, need, put it together like Ian and start selling it. $100, $200, $300, $500. It gives you like the building blocks of becoming an entrepreneur. And then think about, like, info products are super scalable. Software is super scalable. Like, think about shit that is super scalable that you could sell, like SaaS sales.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
That's how I'm thinking about this product for sure. We just sold 200 seats of the course that Mike had in the past 2 weeks. So it's massive. We have two more. Do you have time to stay for two more, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay,
I blocked the time.
We got Jared and then Andy. Go for it, Jared.
Brandon, thanks for taking the time. Good to meet you. Just before I even ask the question, I used to work at Clearbit, so definitely have a bone to pick with you. Lost a couple deals too. Seamless.
Nice.
Good to meet you in person.
Congrats on I don't know if you were there for the exit, but congrats. It's awesome.
I got paid out a little. It was nice.
Yeah. It was great company. Dustin and the team, they're awesome. Like, Clearbit was out before I started Seamless, and I'm really grateful they didn't really get into contact data, because that would have been tough. And I'm glad we crushed it in contact, and you guys crushed it in company data.
Yeah, you guys definitely crushed. Well, anyway, I'm curious because as a CEO who went from a salesperson went to a CEO, I'm assuming you did a ton of prospecting and then went to being the one who is getting prospected. Kind of curious from your perspective to hear, like, what's really enticing in a prospecting email nowadays? Like, how has your perspective shifted on, like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was prospecting my own demos, pitching my own demos. Then I hired an SDR, and I was in like 8 to 15 demos a day when I started. And then, like, this is how you'll do it if you start your own company. Like, you'll be taking all the pitches, you'll have to do all the prospecting, then you'll hire someone to book the appointments for you. You'll do all the pitches, and then you'll eventually hire AEs and SDRs. Like, that's how that deal goes. You want to be the one doing the pitching and closing, so that, like, you learn what's working, what's not working, what do I need to change in the product, whatever. That's why I did it. And I just love pitching people. Now when I'm getting prospected, I would say it's like super value driven, gap. Like, I would say anything dealing with my competitors, I'm interested in. Anything dealing with, like, any of my problems, like, are you experiencing this type of problem? Here's how we solve it. I think, like, problem-based prospecting is really good versus, like, hey, John, we have this widget, it does this, it does X, Y, Z. Like, I don't give a shit about that.
We just trained on that yesterday, and like, no one cares about your product. All they care about is their problems. Master how to speak on their problems. So
yeah, like, everyone's in current state and future state. Like, I have not cracked 100 mil a year. I've done over $175 million in sales, but I've not cracked doing over 100 million in annual recurring revenue. And, like, we're building up there. I know the A's I need, the SDRs I need, this CS team I need. So, like, anything that helps me do that, I'm highly interested in. Anything that helps, like, solve, like, current state, future state, what are my current biggest pain problems? And then it's like, it's hard to figure that out. Every CEO is going to be different. Every CEO and C-suite is going to be dealing with different problems at different times, right? But you could pick it up on social. You could just guess, like, hey, we solved these 5 problems. And instead of hitting me with the 5 problems, always stick to one. Like, if you try to catch 3 rabbits at once and you're starving to death on an island, like, you're not going to catch anything and you're going to die on the island. So I always believe in, like, don't pitch 3 things, pitch one thing. Like, what's the one problem that you could help them with? Are they experiencing the problem? Are they interested? Also, I love videos. Like, anything with a video. Like, people will pitch me to book an appointment, and I'll just reply, send Loom. And, like, I'm actually seriously interested, but I'm in 18 meetings a day, 365. I would love to meet with every salesperson, but I don't have time. Shoot me the Loom, 5-minute Loom, 3-minute Loom, 2-minute Loom. And, like, boom, I'll like it. And then I'll book a demo. but like, I need to like understand it. I'll listen to it at 2 to 3x speed. I'll pick it up in 2 seconds. Yeah, that's valuable. Let's book the time. So I think video prospecting and problem-based prospecting, not multiple problems, is the way to go.
Love
I
it.
love that. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, no
Last-
problem. Great to connect.
Last question, Brandon. We appreciate you staying over. Last question is going to be from Andy. Take it away, my man.
Hey, thanks, Ian. Brandon, sorry to say I went to Miami of Ohio, so rival school, but big
That's
fan
awesome.
of OU.
Oxford's great. Miami's beautiful.
Had a good
I don't
good
think, I don't think I could get in. I think I tried to get into Miami and I just got denied. I wasn't smart enough. So
you guys
appreciate
had
it.
the better Halloween parties, I can tell you that.
Dude, people don't believe me when I said it was the #1 party school at the time. Like if you're from Ohio, you kind of get it. But yeah, no, both schools are amazing.
Just quick question and then we can wrap up. You talked about the struggle in sales before and how, the mindset was kind of beating you down a little bit. Are there any blind spots or anything you're struggling with as a CEO of Seamless?
I mean, you're always struggling with something, like shit. I context switch and I deal with so many different problems every half hour. Are you talking about mentally or are you talking about in the business?
I think maybe part of it's mental, but part of it is like, I guess I'm curious about is there one thing or two things running a company that you couldn't really foresee 5-10 years ago that now you're dealing with that you're like, holy shit, this is really, really hard and I need someone to help me with this?
Yeah,
thing?
I mean, right off the rip, like when COVID hit, we thought it was going to be the worst thing for the business. And we grew 300 to 500% when COVID hit. Then after COVID, you saw like now, like the past 3 years, tech has performed the worst it's ever performed in the public markets. Like there's no venture funding. Tech companies are struggling to grow. Now it's finally coming up, right? But I went through with Seamless thinking that COVID would be really bad. And we went boom. And then the tech, because we service and sell to all the software and tech companies, and you had companies laying off 50%, 30%, 20%. Everyone's reducing seats. Like, so you're just dealing with this, like, oh shit. Like the sales teams that I would talk to would be 100 people and now they're 40 people. Like I did not forecast that to my board that was going to happen. Like no one knew Zoom Info was going to go 130% net revenue retention down to 86% net revenue retention. Now I love it. I believe like we did that. Like Seamless caused all those customers to leave and come to us. And that was because of us. And like, I want to take credit for that, but we still feel the pain like Zoom felt in the market, like every other tech company felt in the market. So I think you're always dealing with these new dynamics. Like, when I'm building this massive data company and then GDPR comes out and you're like, now I got to worry about every country, international law, legislation. I got to build a privacy department. I got to build a legal compliance department, security department. I got to hire a ton of attorneys. I got to hire consultants in Switzerland and Europe and London and Germany. And so there's shit like with the changing dynamics that you always have to deal with. But I think it's like always being solution oriented. Okay. What's I believe in 1-3-1. What's the problem? What are the 3 options to overcome it? What's the best recommendation? Like problem, 3 solutions, pros and cons of the 3 solutions, execute the top solution that you believe will work, and then optimize. Like, what's the data? How did that go? Did it go bad or good? And if it went great, okay, cool, ride that out. If it went bad, try to revert to a new solution to test. And just always being, solution oriented. Like, I don't believe any problem will stop me or kill me or kill the company or kill my pipeline and sales and revenue. But there are like a shitload of problems that you will always encounter. And if you're positive, coachable, hardworking, and do whatever it takes, you can make it happen.
Love it. Yeah. Thanks so much for the time. This is great.
Yeah, really appreciate it, guys.
Love it, Brandon. It's inspiring to hear from you and you're inspiring, and I'm rooting for Seamless to get to 100 million, cross that threshold, and for you to continue to prove everybody wrong. And I love the chip on your shoulder and that just constant, constant push to be the best you can be. It aligns really well with a lot of what we teach, and hopefully we'll have you at one of our masterminds in the future. So
Yeah. Love lake life.
yeah, that's right. And a lot of people will be there, but the next one, April, after Barris comes to this one.
Yeah. And would love to connect with all of you guys on LinkedIn. Hit me up on LinkedIn, join Seamless for free using Koniak, the referral code. And, excited for all of you to make this next year your biggest and best yet.
Everyone gets $500 in contact info and Seamless credits. I'm going to reiterate that. That's a huge offer. So put in the code Koniak into Seamless and sign your butts up, whether you're live or whether you're online, and start using it, because it's going to save you a ton of time finding contact info. That's why we built this, to help us sellers get to decision makers faster. So thank you, Brandon. You're awesome, and looking forward to seeing where you go from here and staying connected in many ways. So appreciate you.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Have a great day. Good luck.